I have an Eels mate. He was telling me this joke about the Parramatta Eels. He said, when he dies, he wants the Eels to lower him into his grave.
That's an old joke.
You know why? So they can let him down one last time.
That's an old joke.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
That's an old joke. No one's going to find that.
All right, it's an old joke, but bro, it's the Parramatta Eels. There's Owen Wilson, and there's the Eels 0-3.
0-3. Wait. That's a better one.
Who would have thought? You know, the Eels are 0-3. Wow. But yeah, man, another round in rugby league, boys. Hey, how's everyone watching on the podcast? Hey guys, welcome to episode 4. Today we've got my trusty co-host Dibbo, and we've got Brandon with us today. He's how would you describe yourself, Brandon?
I'd say former lower grader at Parramatta. No, saying I'm going to say Canberra and Cronulla. I was about to say Parramatta. Sorry, we'll talk about Parra in the
We've been ripping on Parra the whole
pre-show.
time we've been getting ready for this show. Actually brought something in just for Parramatta supporters. So if you guys can see, that's a Parramatta sort of memorabilia for the 4 premierships that they've won. And I'm going to make a bold claim today. I think that the Canterbury Bulldogs will win another grand final before the Eels do. So the Eels, I'm telling you, they're going to go 40, 50 years without another grand final. And reports today saying Mitchell Moses wants to play. You know, the Roosters want to go after Mitchell Moses now because he hasn't signed with the Eels yet. They're worried about Luke Keary.
Everyone's linking him.
Everyone's going everywhere.
Everyone links the Roosters now to... Well, the player managers seem to link the Roosters because that's how they try to up the value of their players.
Yeah, but how much more is Mitch Moses going to try and up the value of himself? Just sign a contract, man. It's, you know, you're 4 weeks in, your team's 0-3. I think the Eels need some good news.
Have they offered a contract yet?
They may have given... Wow. Well, in all seriousness, they may have given him an underwhelming contract.
Well, it's not with the Tigers then. The Tigers are willing to offer him...
I don't think... Look, he would have signed if he wanted to go back there.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Yeah. If he wanted to go back... But, I mean, at the end of the day, I do think that him not signing is affecting the Eels in a way. Yeah. And look, I know we're starting a podcast talking about the Eels, but it's always a good weekend when both the Eels and the Dragons lose and the Bulldogs win. So let's just rip on Parramatta a little bit more. And I just want to tell you...
Look, those weeks are far few in between. So
don't
get used to it.
Get out of here. You've won one grand final in 45 years,
Don't get used to it.
Get out of here. But you know, the worst thing I think I've ever seen from a player, other than obviously the domestic violence crap, is Ryan Madison taking 3 weeks off or 4 weeks off as opposed to paying his fine. I still cannot get it through my head. The bloke makes $600,000 a year, and he did not want to pay a fine.
Wow, Gus said something about
just
that.
Might be a tight ass. I mean, just might his upbringing. Just gotta live. It might be just frugal off the field.
Bro, if you were playing in a team and your mate did that,
I'll just look at him and think, what a tight ass. Simple as that. Move on.
Honestly, I
won't take him serious. I think you tight ass. You cheapskate.
He's got to win. Listen, he's got to win the game for the Eels single-handedly this week against the Panthers. He has to pay back his teammates.
Is he starting this weekend or?
I think it might have started on the bench. I've got the list here, but we'll talk about that later. But what do you reckon, bro? If you were in starting first grader and your teammate wouldn't pay money and he took 3 weeks off instead, how would you feel?
No, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe he's doing it tough in his financial situation. Yeah. Maybe $600K a year is not enough for him.
But unless he's like a gambling addict or something, I reckon there's no excuse. There's no excuse. I think you got to put your mates first. Isn't that what rugby league's all about? Camaraderie and all that. Like you know, you hear the players, I got to die for the boys. You know this and that, and he won't pay $4,000.
I think somebody this week paid $4,000 to play. One of the players, instead of taking the suspension, I think he just got fined $4,000. One of the
That's standard, but I mean, that's what you would expect.
He opted to pay the $4,000 to play, so... I mean, you know what? Why didn't the club just pay it for him?
They're not allowed. I don't think the club's allowed. It has to come from the player who's being fined.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, surely they could have just passed him a brown paper bag under the table. Come on.
Hey, we don't condone that here, man.
You know,
we're not a Roosters podcast.
You know what? That's an amateur move by Parramatta, actually. You know what?
Yeah.
It's going on to the player. I'll actually correct it. That should be on Parramatta. Honestly,
Why?
The fact they allowed him to take the suspension instead of opting to pay the $3,000 up front.
Well, Brad Arthur said he supported him.
Oh, Brad Arthur. He's had 10 years at that club.
Yeah,
come on. He's probably, he probably, obviously he's going to support him because the guy probably backs him every week.
Yeah, but
10 years.
I mean, to be really honest, it's just one of those blatant ones where I feel like there's really no excuse. Yeah. Like the thing is, it's not like he's gone out and done something, illegal or harmed someone, but it's like, bro, like you make so much money. You're an integral part of the team. You're having a sook about $4,000. Like, bro, you should have just paid it straight away. What?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't, you know.
Yeah, I would have paid it straight away if I was in his position. Yeah.
What was Gus saying about it?
He said he would have put him on his back seat and he would have taken him for a drive. He would have changed his mind by the time he got back.
Yeah,
So it's like I said, it's
Yeah.
on Parramatta. Sorry, but that is on Parramatta. The player's copying it. It is on the club. That is amateur move. That just tells you a lot about the club.
Look, I'm with you. Parramatta should have sort of, strong-armed him into paying it. But at the same time, like, it doesn't make sense, bro. Like, when he came out and he said, "Oh, I'd rather not pay it. You know, why do I have to pay it?" You got charged. Pay it so you can back up, the good year that you guys had. Sure, you didn't win the grand final, but be there for your teammates. You knew you were losing Reid Marnie and Isaiah Papali'i.
Yeah.
Why would you?
He must also remember that he gets a large portion of his salary from a TV deal. So, how many games is he missing? 3 or 4?
I think it was 3.
Three.
So
he's
it was 3 games. Yeah.
3. So he's missed about 1/8 of the season. Yeah. So, you know what? Why don't we just sacrifice 15% of his pay? In that case, if you want to miss those 3 games, he's honestly missing about 15% of the season.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
I never considered that way.
Who actually, if he thinks about it, his salary actually comes from the fans via the viewership. He's letting down a lot of fans, a lot of kids.
And the members,
Poor move, especially by the club. It actually has to fall back on the club.
All over, it was just, it to me, as a rugby league club, as rugby league sport prides itself on team, camaraderie, teammates, that the fact that this happened is, I think it's funny, and as you said, it's pretty symbolic of the Eels and why, honestly, I don't think they'll win another grand final for another.
Look, I tell you one
15
thing.
years.
I mean, I know you're raising it here, but if you go online on social media, like you read the threads on Twitter, a lot of the Parramatta fans are actually livid. They're sick of hearing it, but they are absolutely livid with their club for allowing this to happen.
Rightly so. If that happened from a doggies supporter point of view, I wouldn't want that guy playing for my team anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I know whoever it is, right? Yeah. I would say, man, this guy is not there for his team.
Yeah.
Especially.
Maddo?
I don't know, man. You guys have been short on players for the last 5-6 years. Those wooden spoons adds up.
Yeah.
Paid your fine. That player. Change your mind, mate.
Seriously. One grand final in 50 years, and you think you have the right to talk. Listen. Come back to me when your team can do something. Yeah? Come back to me when your team can do something. Until then.
Look, you know what? My team can't win a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
It's been over 80 years, so yeah, I think I'll be able to come back to you.
Oh, it's been over 80 years. I'm talking about the present, brother.
I'm just saying.
One grand final in 50 years.
Hey, he's won a few wooden spoons recently, so I reckon that nullifies your premiership victories.
No, it doesn't.
Actually, he's never won a premiership for how long?
20 years now. 18, 19
Wow.
years.
20 years.
Yeah, 2004, man. Yeah.
I think they've won 2 in about 35 years.
Yeah.
Well, it almost stacks up with St George's record.
How many grand finals have we been?
Probably less than St George.
Yeah, all right, bro.
Because St George are the perennial losers.
Yeah, they are the perennial losers. Them and their fans.
Look,
anyway.
I wouldn't call them perennial losers because 4 of those grand finals, they were underdogs in all of them. They had no stacked lineup. Even with that merged side, that was not a stacked lineup. I mean, they
anyway,
had
no one's here to talk
players.
about the Dragons. No one cares about the Dragons. So let's move on to the Doggies and Tigers.
Let's move on to the Doggies.
Just quickly, what did you guys make of the game? So actually, just a quick point. Dibbo was actually at Belmore. And even though he's a Dragon supporter, deep down, he loves and supports the blue and white mighty Doggies. How was the game?
Well, I'm a footy fan first and foremost.
Yeah.
I like a good day at the footy, a good spectacle to watch. It was about 36 degrees or something. The UV was absolutely... But I'll tell you what, we rocked up.
Yep.
There was about 17,000 fans. It's a good ground, Belmore. It's a lovely ground.
How's the atmosphere?
Fantastic. In suburbia, it just feels like you're in your own backyard. I know it's Belmont, it's not a far drive from mine, but it feels like, for example, I'm at Shark Park or Progra Oval, for example. And you're walking through the back streets. We actually illegally parked at the back of one of the real estates, Ramsey Real Estate, if you're watching. Thanks, Sammy.
Call out to Ramsey Real Estate.
He's right here.
Anyway,
sponsor the show. Go.
Just walking there. You know what? First game of the year, and I'll tell you what, the Canterbury Club, they had their staff out the front, scanning tickets, checking tickets. They had a few of their cheerleaders walking around. They had their extended staff that probably work in merchandise and whatnot, making sure everyone's fine. It was just great seeing everyone walk from the train station through that park on the side.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, we came the other way. I think it's Gillies Road or something that wraps around. We walked through there.
Yep.
And then we got into the stadium and there's a lot of room behind that grandstand. And I'll tell you what, we got there and New South Wales Cup was just basically kicking off.
Yep.
And there was I'll tell you what, the stadium was already half full, and it was dead set that hot.
Wow.
The amenities worked out fine.
Yeah.
The food stores were great.
Yeah.
The queues were backed up. I think they ended up selling out.
Yeah.
You got to the hill, everyone was just cheered up.
And I'll tell you what, like, despite the fact that we've lost probably the last 7 games at Belmore, people still want to go to Belmore. It's just a whole different... It's a festival, honestly. I feel like
Good.
it's a festival.
You know, it just felt like, it felt like you're in your own backyard. It just felt like you knew everyone around. It's just, you just saw the smiles on everyone's faces. I think it was last week. I think it was Justin Pascoe, the West Tigers chief exec. I think it was him or the other guy, Lee. Yeah. I think it was him. I know Parra was getting 300 million for their stadium, but I think he floated, give them, I think, 100 mil out of that or 150 mil. Get them to, refurbish their stadium. They can refurbish those, similar to what Cogra Oval's happened with their grandstand. Still increase the capacity.
Yep.
And then I think he said funnel off, I think 50 mil to Brookvale, 50 to Cogra, and I think he said 50 to Campbelltown Sports Ground. Because those, I'll tell you what, and I can see Peter Vlandis, what he's trying to do. We spoke about it last week. He's trying to get tribalism back in the game. He's trying to make the teams basically dislike each other, get that rivalry happening, get everyone to have their fortress at their home ground.
Yeah.
And it's just a big, nice flow-on effect because, you know what? The local economy benefits from it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
But even then, like, you look at, like, some of the traditionally strong suburban grounds, like, you look at Manly, for example.
It's a fortress.
For a long time.
It's been called a fortress.
You go up there and you know you're going to lose.
You go to Brookie and you think, geez, please, hopefully
Park.
less than 20 today.
Yeah, Amy Park, you go down there and people celebrate when another team beats Melbourne in Melbourne. Like, it's such a rare occurrence for people to beat Melbourne in Melbourne. And you look at even like now with the new Eel Stadium, the what do they call it now? Combank Stadium, yeah. Like the Eels, for a long time.
That is a world-class stadium.
It's a mad stadium.
I know
it's a crazy stadium.
I know funding's a bit tight at the moment from the government, but
it deserves a better team.
If they want to go spend $300 million on a rebuild just for Panther Stadium out there, I don't agree with it. I like what actually the chief executive, Justin Pascoe's floated. I think it's a more viable option.
Don't you reckon he needs to come up with some good ideas for his team to win, though?
Look, honestly, I can't answer that because that job is beyond fixing, I think. Honestly, it takes brave people to be in those positions.
It does.
Cool heads. It's got to be strong mentally as well.
But, I mean, to the Tigers' credit, I thought they came back really well against the Bulldogs.
I agree, yeah.
Disagree.
How was the atmosphere when the Tigers were coming back with the Dogs?
I'll tell you what.
Strong.
I'll tell you what. I saw dozens and dozens or hundreds and hundreds of Tiger fans running back into the stadium. My own eyes. And a lot of people, if you're asking this about the game, will agree. And all of a sudden, the Tigers fans became vociferous. The Canterbury fans were on edge. And we were meant to actually leave 10 minutes before full time, 10 to 15 minutes. We got up to walk from the hill, and then all of a sudden, the Tigers burst through and scored.
Yep.
And then we must have walked about maybe only 5 meters, saw someone I used to play footy with, started chatting with him. And then a minute and a half later, Tigers are in again. Yeah. And then one of the lads I was with, his name's Imi, he said, okay, no, we're not going. I've got a bad feeling about this. And lo and behold, they went over again. I think it was Charlie Staines.
Yeah.
And then no one moved. I think I heard a lady scream at her son not to get off his patch of grass because I think she was extra superstitious.
Bro, that's...
Wow.
You just hear like...
That's what happens when you're on the hill, bro.
Wow.
The bit on the hill.
And I thought, you know what? That's what suburban grounds do for you as well. It just brings...
Wow.
How'd you see it, Brandon?
I thought it was a great game. Dogs came off strong in the beginning and then they just lacked off the last 15 minutes. Honestly, I would be really disappointed with Dogs for letting the Tigers come back in. I wouldn't be impressed. But at the end of the day, they came with the win, which is a good thing.
Look, the way I looked at it is I think that Cameron Ciraldo made a couple of mistakes with his bench rotation. Yeah. So he had Fa'amanu Brown, he had Okumbo, he had Corey Waddell, and he had... Jaden Tanner on there. He didn't use Okumbo, and Jaden Tanner only played 14 minutes.
Yeah.
you're supposed to be getting 20, 25 minutes out of each person on the bench. He didn't get any of, he barely got anything out of the bench. And Farmanu Brown's not a forward.
Yeah.
So he came on there playing in the middle, and he's a smaller bloke. You put him at maybe half.
You put him in the backs.
But you can't put him in the forwards. And he was running the ball up.
Yeah.
And by the end of the game, I thought because of the heat, by the 65th minute, you could tell, Kickout was out on his feet. Jacob Preston was out on his feet. Even Raymond Faitala-Mariner. Max King is just a freak. He keeps going, but you could tell they were tired, and they needed better support from their bench. And for some reason or other, Serraldo just didn't provide it.
I actually was looking at Curaz, and this is about 15 or 20 to go, and he was breathing heavy. And it was that hot out there, but he had the highest work rate in the game.
Wow.
And Serraldo, he tries to come with a game plan. I think you're right. He did err on this occasion because he's got Ockenbaugh on the bench, 0 minutes. He's got Fireman Brown, who can play in the backs. He's a small forward. Then he had Jaden Tanner for about 14 minutes. I mean, he's got, if he wants another forward on the bench in the place of Pillay, you got Jackson Torpeny in the reserves.
I don't understand why they don't play
And
him.
he's actually agile enough to even play in the centres if you need be.
Ockenbaugh?
No, Torpeny. For a forward, he can move well.
Yeah, he can.
He can move well for a forward.
Yeah.
And he's playing well in the reserve. So, I mean, he's gone for the same 17 this week. I mean, obviously, Pillay's unavailable again. So, Tanner and
apparently
Ockenbaugh.
he's sick, according to Gus on Twitter. But look, I think if you're going to get him, to Mount Smart, the Warriors had a great game last week. The Warriors played very, very well against the Cowboys, and no one gave them
Good forward pack.
Yeah, great forward
Bro,
pack.
good 80-minute game.
Great forward pack.
Yeah, like the way I looked at the way the doggies played,
Yeah.
the first 65 minutes was incredible. Like the pass that Marnie threw to Burton, to see Burton and his running game explode, I think Burton really started to enjoy his footy. I thought,
I agree.
There was a combo out there I enjoyed seeing. It was actually sitting on that side. Paul Alamotti and Josh Adokar.
Yeah.
Brilliant, man.
The first
Great
try.
combination, you think?
Yeah, great combo. The first, and defensively, they were really good.
Yeah.
The first try, Alamotti takes that intercept. He puts his head down. Didn't exactly ping the ears back, but you could tell he was kind of waiting for the call from Adokar.
Yeah.
Any split second, I thought if he didn't get the call from Adokar, he was going to ping the ears backs.
Yeah.
And I thought he would have got there himself. But then he heard the call from Adokar, and he was quickly.
Yeah.
Then the second one, and it was just in and away from him, back to Adokar. Adokar gave it back to him, went back in and away. He waited to both defenders came at him, and he got the ball around the corner.
It was a great,
And I watched them in defence. They speak with each other. They talk to each other in attack. That's one side I was very excited to see.
I was told someone who plays the dog that their chemistry at the Bulldogs is really good.
Really?
Yeah, so then if they go for a coffee, the whole team, they're really good at communicating now. Then back in those years, apparently this year is really good. The chemistry is strong and they're getting along really well. Where they can literally communicate well and do anything knowing each other. So it's quite good.
when they finish their training sessions at Belmore, they walk up that track and they get onto Burwood Road and you always see them obviously at Joe Bell's, and plus they go walk around.
I remember the place,
and you just see them there and they always acknowledge the locals.
Yeah, they always having a laugh.
It's so
Fox's
good,
laugh is ringing out in the...
Yeah.
I mean, if they can put an 80-minute performance together, honestly, if they put 80 minutes against the Tigers, I reckon we win by 40.
Right now, Bulldogs top 8 after that performance?
Not yet.
Not
yet.
I'm not convinced.
That was disappointing in that last 15.
It was very disappointing. I mean, if they let 1 or 2 tries in the heat, I can understand that. But it was just way too close to comfort. But I do think, if you give us a couple more rounds, I think that we will be better, because even though Tavita Pangai Jr. is not back this week, he should be back next week, right? And if you look at, hopefully, Franklin Pele can be better. If we've got Pele and Tavita Pangai Jr. on the bench, alongside Fa'amanu Brown and Corey Waddell, that's acceptable. That's right. Because that's a very big pack now that can probably keep up with all the other packs, right?
I had a chance to play with Ockenbaugh. He was a good impact player.
Yeah.
He should have used him. He's great. Ockenbaugh can play centre, second row, even in the front rows. He was also my Harrow captain.
Wow.
And he came off the bench.
Is he just down on confidence at the moment, or is he just not? What is there? Just not involving himself enough?
Yeah, I think he needs to get more involved.
Or is he just not getting enough game time? It was just a lot of negative stigma around him from previous years of it. I mean, he was in the media for obviously the wrong reasons at one stage.
Yep.
I mean, I think the fans have been tough. He does have the He
not
does
a
do the
winger.
dropsies occasionally with the balls.
There's no.
I don't think he's a winger or a centre. Honestly, I think his best position is second row.
Yeah, he was our back row and captain at Parramatta and SG Ball. Yeah,
Oh, so
on
he
the
played
wing.
back row when he was younger.
yeah, he did. Yeah, even when I was at St Christopher's, our junior club, we played together for like 6 years. Yeah, there.
Wow. Because I've always thought that when he would take a hit up in the middle, he was always hard to put down, and he always had an offload on him, or he could make a break or whatever. Put him on the wing, I think is a little bit tough for him. He just doesn't have the catching. I mean, he's very athletic. That's why I reckon him on the bench is not a bad move. And in fact, I remember even before the season started, I was speaking to a friend before we even started the podcast, and we were discussing what you do with Ockenbo because they re-signed him for 2 years. And I said to him, man, I think Ockenbo can be a second rower. Right? I didn't even know that he played second row when he was younger.
He did,
But I thought, man, he could be a second rower. And then lo and behold, he's on the bench as a rotation forward. I think that he could have helped the team out last week. Right, even if he just made defense in the middle, I don't think he would have missed many tackles. But look, the thing about Serraldo is that I'm willing to give him time because I think he's doing a great job.
Hey, look, they're already 2 from 3. It's great.
Hey, that's already 25% at 25% as many wins as we had. Like we only had 7 wins last year. We've already got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Back to Jacob, he's in top of the leaderboard at Dally M's.
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed.
I think he's knocking on the door of rep footy.
Blues jersey.
He runs a wonky style
Unorthodox,
like Jason Nightingale.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And then he reminds you of a Josh Mansour with his work rate and his break tackles. And let's not forget, one played for New Zealand, the other one played for New South Wales in Australia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, you keep doing that, he's definitely going to play rep footy, whether this year, next year, in the years to come.
Yeah.
He's one hard worker.
He is the prototype New South Wales winger, like origin winger. Yeah. And I was actually having this discussion on our Facebook page. Link will be in the description below. I was talking to a couple of the fans on the Facebook page. We were commenting about Jacob Kiraz because I said in one of the statuses, I think this guy will play origin, no doubt. And people were like, oh, you've got Fox, you got To'o, you got Tupu, you got Joseph Suali'i, which I agree with. But here's the thing, right? I think that Suali'i next year or in 2025.
You just named all Samoan boys.
You got a union,
and they're amazing. But I love the Samoan boys.
But Kiraz is a workhorse.
I reckon
you need that.
Suali'i will go to
European rugby.
I reckon he'll go to Union.
Offered him big, I heard.
Yeah, for the World Cup. I reckon he'll go for the 2027
Wallabies
World
will be
Cup.
silly not to offer him $2 million at the least.
Well, I mean, they probably will, and they've got the shots on him. And I reckon Tupa's sort of getting he's getting a bit older now.
He's still good enough to play in the NRL, whether his current club or another club. Let's not forget he's actually a Canterbury junior.
He is.
He's actually a Barella Bears junior.
Yeah, he is.
Barella Bears, yeah.
He is.
They can produce him.
We spoke about it. We spoke about him playing for the Roosters ages ago. I spoke with my friends like, man, why aren't the doggies keeping any of their juniors? Like they were just going everywhere, and then even with Kiraz, right? They
ended up at Newcastle,
and then Cowboys, and then he came back through COVID because he couldn't be up away from his family, and ended up playing for the Dogs.
I don't think much people know this, but Dogs had Latrell Mitchell. I remember we had Parramatta's junior reps, and Latrell came with his brother Shaq, and Shaq Mitchell I know very well. He's at Rabbitohs. They came and I introduced myself. I was like, oh, they're coming for a runner down.
You had the Mitchells.
Yeah, we had the Mitchell. I remember it was at Bankstown Bulls junior reps training, and wow, I was like, what a talent! All of a sudden, I heard we let him go after the performance.
They let Appy Coruscant go as well. Here's another Barella Bears.
Don't remind me, bro.
Barella Bears Junior. Yeah, Appy Coruscant.
Bro, we've let go of every one of our good dummy halves. So we let go of Damien Cook, Isaac Luke, Appy Coruscant. Reed Marnie was a Doggies junior. Yeah. We had to pay overs. It reminds me of what Manchester United do.
You got your saviour, Phil Gould. So he won't let this happen.
Sorry, bro, listen, man.
Phil Gould's here. He won't look. He's actually signing noted or well-performing juniors from other areas just to try to uplift competition for spots in the Matthews, SG Ball and the Jersey Fleet. So he's just trying to improve the quality but also up the competition. And I'm sure he won't let, players of the caliber of Coruscant and the Mitchells slip through the fingers again.
Man. Yeah. I mean, if you look at last week, we actually won all competitions, including the Tasha Gay Women's competition, which was so good to see because for a long time, it's like we didn't know where our juniors were going, where they were playing, what they were doing, where we're going to be next time. And I just feel like even if this year we don't make the 8, next year's going to be much, much better. And the year after that will be even better than that. So, like, we're trending in the right direction.
You're really getting the Dogs of War feel back at the club?
I actually think we're getting the entertainers back.
Not yet.
Honestly, man, some of the gameplay that's been happening that we've been seeing in the 65 minutes that the Dogs are playing, it's been more entertainers than it's been Dogs of War, right? If you look at how we played against Melbourne, we blew them off the park. We literally blew them. Tigers blew them off the park, but we let them back in.
What a game.
If we played 80 minutes, I'm telling you, we put 40 on the Tigers.
They got some players that can turn that on. I mean, obviously you got the fastest man in Aaron Carr.
But I think even Parham, if you look at how Parham has been performing,
Work rate's been up.
Work rate's been excellent, 180 odd meters last against the Tigers. But I think the other thing about Parham is he's showing just how elusive he can be up the middle. And if we can continue to play that expansive style of footy, we can keep going. Right, we can see Parham starting to make those breaks, supporting better, but still long term. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but if we beat the Warriors, I'm saying here we're going to make the top.
Canterbury should count their lucky. They should count their lucky stars. Yeah. Their first 4 games, I haven't looked far ahead to see who their 5th is, but the first 4 games have essentially been Manly, and I thought they could have done a lot better against Manly.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, and then they've had the win last week against Melbourne. They've won. They had the Tigers this week. They got the Warriors this week, who are coming off a win. But you know what? They should count their lucky stars. They didn't have the likes of, for example, Cronulla, for example, or the Roosters or the Rabbitohs or Parramatta in their first 4 games.
I agree.
Because they could have easily been 0-4 or 0-5, and it could have crushed morale.
No,
so
I agreed.
Things have worked well.
But to be honest,
and it's only going to get better.
No, but to be honest, I do think that the good that we've seen from the Dogs has been very, very, very good. Like, if we put an 80-minute performance together, I honestly think we're a good chance against any team. I'm not saying we'll beat any team. I'm saying we'll put our best foot forward. But if we keep playing 65-minute games, I actually think we'll lose to the Warriors.
I want your opinion on Carl Flanagan. How do you think he's going so far?
He's had 2 wins back-to-back, so that helps the morale.
So he was my SG ball halfback.
So he's starting.
You played with him?
Yeah, I did play with him.
Cronulla, was it?
Yeah, it was.
He's starting to silence some doubters. I don't think he's overly silenced them because he's had 2 back-to-back wins. But if all of a sudden, hey, they're 5 or 6 in a row, then they go away. Although they still might think they need a new halfback.
I think success.
His confidence skyrockets. So it might set him up for a finals tilt.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, he did spread the ball well again on the weekend. He pulled off a nice tackle close to the line as well.
He was
inside 10, yeah.
Well, that's the thing about Carl Flanagan, though, is I feel like he's a great defender. As a halfback, he's a very good defender.
I don't quite agree because although close to the line, he pulled off some chopping tackles. West Tigers made a few half breaks a few times. And Flanagan, he would cover, but he wouldn't complete the tackle. And it was a bit disappointing to see that because he got himself in position and he got shrugged off easily. So I'm sure the coaching staff will have a word with him over that. So.
Yeah, but I don't think...
But our target when running is the halfback, and is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah, but he got shrugged off almost every time. When West Tigers made those half breaks, he would come across and cover, which was great to see. And then he'd just get thrown off quite easily. Wow. No resistance.
Honestly,
almost.
I beg to differ. I think he's a great defender.
Yeah, me too.
I beg to differ. Oh, sorry, Dibbo.
I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see.
Dibbo is always wrong.
I'll happy to
always
sit
wrong.
down 80 minutes
You're wrong.
after the podcast, and we can see where Flano missed those tackles.
I'm happy to message him on Insta and ask him.
You're wrong, bro.
I'm sure he'll front up to himself. I'm sure we should get him on. Always front up.
All right. So Dogs have Warriors. Just briefly, I think the Warriors played excellent against the Cowboys, and I think, Sean Johnson had probably his best game in the Warriors jersey for a very long time.
I agree, yeah.
They had some of those juniors come through as well that they debuted, who I thought also played very well. Having said that, we're going to be playing a Mountain Smart, which will be a tough game. They always seem to perform there, and they smashed us by 40 odd last year when we went to.
Your forwards really got to show up.
We do.
They got a strong forward pack.
Are we against Warriors? Yeah, we're against
Warriors. They got a strong forward pack. And that Fanua Blake again last week, he was another runaway freight train.
Don't cut your hair like that again.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, he looks like a monk. He looks like, the monks. What's the go with that, man? I don't know, bro. He's a handsome bloke, man. He's not an ugly bloke. Just that haircut,
yeah, just a haircut. Wow.
I don't know, man. But honestly, the way I'm going to call it is I'm going to give the Doggies the benefit of the doubt. I think that if they can put together an 80-minute game, I think Dogs win by 12.
It's a home game, you see?
It's a home Warriors game.
Mount Smart. So
I'm going to actually tip the Warriors by 14. I'm not saying the Dogs are going to play too bad. I just think the Warriors at home are a different beast. They're going to be buoyed from last week's upset win against the Cowboys. And they actually beat them convincingly. I don't think it's a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. I don't think either. I don't think so either. But I do think that the Cowboys are not playing like Cowboys of 2022.
I agree.
Still early, but I think you might be right, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that statement at all whatsoever.
And I think Seraldo and the coaching team for the Bulldogs will have them up for this. I do reckon they'll...
Just remember back at home, the guy on my left, he's not allowed to tip against the Dogs anymore. He made a grovelling apology during the week. So, yeah.
It wasn't...
He's got his blue and white goggles on.
No, hang on. It wasn't a grovelling apology. It was me owning up to my mistake. I'm a fan, right? And, we didn't perform well against Melbourne, but I learned my lesson. But I'm not going to tip against my team. But honestly, I do think the Dogs have it in them to
That's
win.
good. You're backing your side. That's actually very good.
Honestly, I think the Warriors are quite strong at home.
Agreed.
Stadium, it's a beautiful stadium. I remember the atmosphere there when I was there.
Nice.
I think Warriors by 8.
Warriors by 8.
Yeah.
So you're saying
14 Warriors.
Warriors by 8?
Yeah, because I got a shit goal.
You're both dead to me. You're both dead to me.
Am I still getting a lift home after this?
Nah, sorry, bro. I'm going to take your phone so you can't catch an Uber. You're both dead to me. That's it. It's all over, guys. We'll see you next week. New co-host.
If anyone cares, about Dogs by 12.
So that's our cameraman and resident rugby league noob. He has no idea what rugby league is.
Noob, not nude.
Noob. He's saying Dogs by, how much did you say, 14?
I said 12.
Oh, the Dogs are going to lose now because this guy's got no idea.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, look, I think Dogs. I think Dogs in a not a close one. I think the Dogs will do well. But you guys have tipped the Warriors, so let's see how we go.
We did tip the Warriors in this one.
I think we were actually on the first game before we switched over to the Dogs. If you want to discuss Manly and Parra, we really didn't get stuck into them.
Honestly, they're the two most hated teams in the competition. All right, it was such a painful game to watch.
It was topsy-turvy because there was no defence. When you thought Manly had it, all of a sudden Parra would come in with a few tries, and then it was like, okay, Manly's gone, and then Parra would leak a try.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
You know what's disappointing about the Eels is that they've been in every single game, and it seems like it's
They could
Wanga
have easily
Blake.
been 3-0.
Bro, and
they're 0-3.
It seems like it's always Wanga Blake that's making the final error to stop the Eels from winning. Like, he's done it now in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great player when he's on his day, but I'm not blaming him. Obviously, I do think that there are some things at the Eels right now that just aren't going well. I do, we spoke about Mitchell Moses whinging about his contract and not signing, and Brad Arthur and all that. Look, honestly, I think at the Eels at this point, it's like, look, if you don't want to sign with the Eels, go. Just draw a line in the sand. You have to draw a line in the sand and make a decision for the sake of the club and the sake of the season.
I think a premiership's now past them for the next
I agree, for sure.
For the next 5 to 10 seasons at least.
Sorry, Parra fans, but it's true.
I don't think Mitchell Moses is a grand final winning halfback.
I agree.
He's a good halfback, but I feel like in the games that really matter, he doesn't.
He had some good games last season.
He had some great games, and I thought he was going to turn it around, but then he got to the grand final, and he only played, I think, for me, he only played 10 minutes.
His forwards were outgunned. The whole team was outgunned.
They
gave
was
him no
outgunned,
platform to stand on whatsoever.
But even when they're not outgunned, like the Eels weren't completely outgunned against Manly. Nor were they completely outgunned.
I think Manly's not as good as everyone's making them out to be as well. I mean, Seabold's had a dream run, so
you know what?
We'll see when they go and get stuff there.
You know who I want to talk about? The second row, Hamili.
Yeah.
What a performance.
Brother,
I'm so impressed. Wallah, I'm really impressed.
Does he qualify for New South Wales?
I think so.
I saw somebody posted up a screenshot of him. I think it was last year's State of Origin series, and I think he was saying he was a Queenslander, or he goes for Queensland. I think he said Queenslander from day dot, so he must follow Queensland.
That's not Homole Alakwatu. That's Ezra Mam.
Yeah.
Was that Ezra Mam?
Yeah, that's Ezra Mam, the
Ezra
guy with the pretty eyebrows. Not Reece Watch, the other guy with the pretty eyebrows.
Ezra Mam.
Yeah.
Torres Strait Islander. He's up from those ways, so
he's
you automatically qualify.
What a
I thought it was Alakwatu.
No, Alakwatu is New South Welshman.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, you better be sorry.
I'm glad you're on our side, Alakwatu. Hopefully St George offer you those big bucks as well. Need a forward.
Homole Alakwatu and Keaton Kolomatangi from
Kolomatangi.
Rabbitohs.
Yeah,
How
he
good
talks-
was Kalamatangi's had a good start to the season.
He's had a
he's
great start to the
He can
season.
move.
He's an
Yeah.
elite second row, bro. He's
Even
an elite second
Olakawatu
rower.
can run. What got toe? Wow.
I thought, to be honest, I thought Manly were going to be better, but
I tipped Manly.
Schuster had a great game. Schuster for his first game back.
And that chip over the top, 1 meter, that was like backyard
Bro, that
stuff
was a
on the try
mad
line.
chip.
And chip over on the line, and then he was going to score, but Turbo time came in and just stole it.
But I thought even his passing game to Turbo, I thought it was really good. And if he can start to strike up a little bit more of those combinations, bro, he's going to be a killer for Manly.
When was the last time we saw a chip 1 meter out from the line?
Bro, so good.
That was like
I was
such
so
a
excited to see it,
1980s,
man.
1990s
I know Josh Schuster very well and his family. I was
What
really
a talent.
What a talent! I'm really impressed how you made the decision to keep away from representing
lines.
Samoa.
Yeah.
And doing
Just
himself.
focus on his off-season.
Lost a lot of weight and he played really good on the
Yeah,
weekend.
he has trimmed down.
Yeah,
Wow.
trimmed down a
He said
lot.
he lost like 10 kilos or
He looked
something.
very
Yeah,
slim.
a lot of weight.
He
Yeah,
looked excellent. I'll be honest, like coming back, and I thought, they're getting rid of Fora, and is it the right move? Maybe keep Fora in another year.
Yeah.
But I think Schuster's sort of starting. Maybe it's one game.
Yeah.
But I reckon it will do well.
You reckon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I reckon
think
it'll do well,
yeah.
man. I reckon it'll do well. Parramatta.
We went Newcastle losing at home to the Dolphins, 20-36.
Look, I feel sorry for Newcastle at the moment, but I think they played very
They
valiantly.
actually had Gold Coast's measure till this key moment in
You
the
mean
game.
Dolphins?
Yeah, did I say Dolphins?
Yeah, you said Gold Coast.
Sorry, because they were going to call themselves Gold Coast Dolphins at one stage till a lawsuit came from
All
Redcliffe.
right.
But anyway,
I heard about that. Yeah,
it was. They actually had their measure, and then what happened? That key moment was Bradman Best bursts through, knocks the ball over the line.
That was so painful.
In that same play, Hitman Kafusi, has hit Jackson Hastings from behind, and
what a shot.
he got sent to the bin.
Yeah,
Hastings had to go to HIA. There was no head clash, but I think the rules dictate because it was whiplash.
Yeah.
Right, so they blew a chance of 6 points and a 12-man, and instead ended up with
No halfback.
no halfback and then no creative play.
Yep.
A man advantage. They couldn't do much about it. And then Redcliffe Dolphins pulled off some great plays. There was that try in the corner as well. And then I think it was Tessie New or
Tessie New got a hat trick.
Tessie New, and there was the other winger as well.
It's like Jermaine Asako.
Jermaine Asako. He scored a great one in the
he
corner.
did,
That was just that was crazy.
he's really impressed.
But
And they blew it. So Newcastle could have finished on top.
latest news. Felice Golfusi's lost his appeal, so now he's actually out for 4 games as opposed to 2.
Wow.
There's going to be a mouth-watering clash this week, and now he's missing. I think.
Did he plead guilty?
No, he pled not guilty, and he tried to fight the charge,
Wow,
and he lost the charge.
4 games. That's a
Damn,
big loss.
I was
for
hoping he'd
Dolphins,
play.
I would love to have seen.
Who did I have
play.
this week? Wow,
Brisbane
Broncos.
Broncos, top of the table clash.
That's gonna be a
Brisbane
top of the
sides.
table.
what a game to miss! Wow.
And then we had Roosters and Rabbitohs. What a game, bro! These are the games that you look forward to every year.
Souths came out strong, but then again, some of their players were underwhelming. I thought they were going to run away with it, but then the Roosters showed what a world-class team they are.
Yeah,
they
world-class
hung in there, and then they clawed their way back in, and they just have those players. They got the X factor,
Bro, 3
and they
letters.
just
3 letters. JWH.
they iced it at the end.
That was it. Jared Warrior-Hargreaves made all the difference. Everyone's talking about him getting a little bit older, but he came on there.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
He came on there, bro, and he made all the difference for the team. He was on there, and he turned the game.
Did he get player of the match or?
I don't think he did. I don't know who got man of the match, but if any, he should probably deserved it. But I thought
Manu was a great return.
Manu's incredible,
he's
man.
very good
Manu's excellent. I was actually having a chat with one of the boys, and I was thinking, where's Manu gonna go? Because they've resigned Tedesco now. They've got Swaliki, they've got Manu, and they've. What are they going to do in terms of? I'm sure Manu doesn't want to stay playing at in centre. So actually, we were having to talk about this last week.
Yeah, he could play either code, Joey Manu.
Yeah, I reckon they'll go hard.
You could
for
either
him.
play second 5 or even your first 5. He's that talented. So
He's really talented.
Yeah,
Really strong.
Rabbitohs came out of the block firing, and then I think Cody Walker needs to grow up. He needs to calm down. I think he gets frustrated, then he just loses all control of his game. And when players get under his skin, it's easy to agitate him, and I think he needs to pick that up because honestly, I thought if maybe he wasn't the whole reason because the forwards started firing, but just to see Cody Walker sort of lose his way a little bit in that game was depressing. I thought Elias had another good game.
They didn't take their chances themselves.
Yeah,
they let it get away
they had
from
a lot
them.
of chances.
It's another wake-up call for them because that's 2 on the trot against the top sides that if they're going to win the premiership, they have to knock these sides off.
That's right.
So Penrith and Roosters, Souths know where they stand at now.
Yeah.
I know they're missing a few forwards, but
they weren't too far off though.
they're not. They could have done a lot better. I feel,
But they're not too far off. It's early in
even
the
against
season.
Penrith.
Yeah. Gold Coast, Melbourne. Gold Coast beat Melbourne. Melbourne have lost 2 in a row.
I don't know what's wrong with Melbourne. I'm actually quite shocked.
They're lost without Munster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're missing a large chunk of their experienced players, which is practically their forward pack from last year.
Pappenhausen, all them,
Obviously, Pap, but if you think about the loss of Bromwich brothers and Felice Kafusi, 3 experienced players in the middle of the park, that's a huge loss.
Yeah,
I don't know what the Melbourne were thinking there with the retention and whatnot.
But they're all getting old anyway.
Yeah, they are getting quite old.
Look, I'm just starting to think a lot of players can get in their mid-30s now. It feels like, with the advancement of
what we have now. Yeah, that's right.
And all that stuff.
I mean, the Gold Coast had a good game. Melbourne was still in it the whole time, but the Gold Coast won, and they came back from a dreadful showing against the Dragons.
I still don't even think Gold Coast had a good game. I think Melbourne's just that dreadful. Look, I think
Melbourne poopied themselves.
Look, Melbourne's still missing a chunk of players. They will get them back. I think they still will make the 8, but to be a threat this year to the premiership, I think that's beyond them now.
Top 8, not top 4?
No.
Yeah. I don't know, bro.
It's hard
to count out Melbourne, especially when you think about if they get Pappenhausen back, Nelson Asaf Solomona, they get...
not for another 2 months. I think both of them not for another 2 months.
That's the problem. But if anyone can make a charge sort of towards the end of the year, it's definitely Melbourne.
Yeah. Missing too many forwards, I think. Sorry.
Yeah. Their forwards will continue to gain experience as well. But anyway, it's good to see Melbourne lose 2 in a row. He's hoping they lose 3.
He's hoping to 4 or more. got a viewer at home by the name of Z. I remember last year when Melbourne, because we haven't stopped hearing this guy for almost the last 20 years. Yep. He's just been a serial pest. But last week when they lost 4 on the trot,
last year.
Yeah, they lost 4 on the trot. Z all of a sudden was disinterested in footy and NRL sucks. They're ruining the game.
Fair with a fan.
That's and then when the win came back, re-enter Z. Z's all of a sudden watching footy again. Now he's starting to quieten a bit.
Ask him, did he support them in 2010?
Look, he's a diehard fan, so... Yeah. Anyway, he's to 4 or more.
We spoke about Warriors and North Queensland. Warriors, well done. I thought they played excellent. Yep. I think for this week, I think the Warriors might be missing Wade Egan because
HIA or concussions?
Yeah, I think it was HIA.
Look, look. Warriors go for it at the moment. Look, Cotter's out for North Queensland, but Warriors go for it at the moment. Oh, sorry, Tamalolo, Cowboys, and Cowboys are missing Cotter. Sorry. But Cowboys only go for it at the moment, and I saw it the last game. Seems to be only through Tamalolo. Yeah, it's like all the rest are just standing there watching for someone to do something. I don't know if you ever experienced that. Like you just thought your usuals are going to stand up, and it's like Tamalolo was the only one trying. So I don't know what's happening to the rest. I know Todd Payton's a great coach, and you'll get in their ear. He's a good motivator, and he's not scared to drop plays. I don't know. Their bench still looks skinny at the moment.
It is a bit skinny.
I thought Jake Granville was retiring a few years ago. He's still going around.
Yeah, for me, having him on the bench.
I thought James Tamo was retired last year and the year before. He's on the bench as well.
He's not playing many minutes either.
Yeah, but, I mean, you got other players there outside the 17. I think in the reserves list, I think they're more value to put them in. I know they're missing a few players at the moment as well, but
I don't know.
I just think they're erring on the interchange in a way, probably similar or a bit more different to how Canterbury's erring on their bench. But you need a set a strong 1 to 17. Yeah, you need that impact,
especially with the competition being so tight.
It's a high octane sport.
It is.
There's no stoppages that we were seeing about 20 years ago. And unlimited interchanges. It's high octane.
Brisbane against St. George. I love seeing the St. George collapse.
I know he's laughing.
4 tries in 8 or 9 minutes. Yeah. I mean, how sweet. Come on. Yeah, wow. Just seeing the Dragons collapse that, bro, it brings a smile to the
It brings a smile, but look, If you
Here
think
we
about
go.
it, for 70
Here we go with the
minutes,
excuses.
and Brisbane have been hot this year. They've knocked over, they knocked over the Panthers first week. And they knocked over the Cowboys.
22 points in 8 minutes, brother.
Yeah, but
22 points.
Are you going to let me finish? Or
That's
no?
ridiculous in NRL level. Wow.
Sorry?
That's ridiculous in NRL level.
I mean, look, I can't laugh because the Dogs copped the same game, man. 22 minutes in about 15.
But what was encouraging was...
Yeah, bro, like,
Wow.
we're winning 26-0 till the 65th minute or something.
Yeah, but what was encouraging was for 70 minutes,
Yep.
it was neck and neck. And Dragons probably could have been up much more at one stage. Brisbane did come out in the second half. The Dragons actually had a chance to go further ahead. I think it was just millimetres out, Lomax in the corner. I think Payne Haas coming on was an inspired performance in that last 10.
Payne Haas.
He went like literally
What a
3 hit-ups, bang, bang, bang,
Bang,
big
bang,
charge, offload, line break assist. He couldn't. All the Brisbane players followed through. That was absolutely devastating. That was one of the more devastating spells I've seen from a player in probably the last 10 or so years.
Yeah.
Literally that 10-minute stint. It was just so notable what he did in that 10-minute stint. It was just...
That performance by Broncos is a top 4 performance.
Yeah, look, the Dragons, 70 minutes, and I know they won't do that again, the last 10 minutes, but you know what? The signs are there. It's actually encouraging.
Did you win?
Regardless.
But did you win?
Look,
Answer the question.
didn't win.
It's a yes or no
the
question.
scoreline...
Did the Dragons win or lose?
I'm not referring to the win.
What was the scoreline?
Yeah, regardless.
What was the scoreline?
The scoreline was flattering, but if you look at the whole way
Hang
through...
on. I'm just going to read it out for those who don't know what the scoreline was. It was 40-18
Wow.
to the Broncos.
You know what's funny? This guy might be jumping the gun. Let's see him in a few weeks if his team starts losing. Because it will really backfire.
Oh, wow.
Oh, bro. You guys didn't win. What are you laughing at?
I remember I was eating and we're watching a Broncos game, and everyone's faces when Broncos scored 4 tries in 10 minutes was like, wow.
Yeah.
How?
Reece Walsh.
How?
What a freak he is, bro.
Even the restaurant owner came and stood there and watched the game. What a performance that last 10 minutes.
Absolute freak. Last game.
Go on. Sorry, no, go ahead.
Sorry, no one wants to hear, because no one wants to hear about the Dragons on the Kennel. So,
No, you go. You continue.
no, what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I was going to say...
So the next game was the Canberra.
I continue. That's all right.
I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry about
continue.
the...
No, go.
I'm done. Right?
No, you were gonna say.
I was going to raise the issue with Reece Walsh.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of fans should get ahead of themselves with him because for about 70 minutes he was quite ordinary, and I know he scored those few at the end, but really it was just him backing up. So form has been a bit indifferent.
I don't think his form's been indifferent. I think that there was a good game between the Dragons and the Broncos for 70 minutes.
But he was absolutely nullified.
Yeah,
he was nowhere to be seen.
But don't forget, he's only 20 years old.
Regardless, he's a first grader.
He is, but he's only 20 years old. And, I mean,
It's not making a fit. I mean, 20 years old, but what's that point there?
no, I'm saying he's got a lot of development in him, and when he's on, he's on. And while he didn't have his best game against the Dragons, granted, I think that over the next... And don't forget, he's only been at the Dragons now. This is only his 3rd game with the Dragons.
At Brisbane?
Sorry,
Yeah,
he
that's
will
right.
never play for a dumb team like the Dragons. At the Broncos,
That's all right. That's all right.
You know what he's doing?
Wow.
He's building it up. He's building it up until we lose.
I won't
gonna.
have to say
He's
anything.
gonna drop bombs on me when the Doggies
Yeah,
lose
when
next
Doggies
game.
lose.
Watch. I'm telling you, he's gonna drop bombs on me, man. Because we got some tough games coming up. But I thought when he was playing for the Broncos, he did have some good games. That game against Dragons is not the best, but he did make up for it in 10 minutes. He pretty much won them the game.
Who? Walsh?
Backing up off Tony Staggs, backing up off Payne Haas.
I really think his form's indifferent because 2 of those tries was literally he just had to beat the try line. The other guys could have went themselves.
No, but you can't. What's it called? But you can't base his season on that last 10 minutes or the last game. I think that he's still got a lot to offer, and he'll be Queensland fullback.
Yeah.
Who else are they going to put at Queensland fullback?
There's a few other options.
Scott Drinkwater?
I don't think he'll be the fullback.
Who will be the Queensland
It will
fullback?
sort itself out. I don't think he'll.
But who? What are the options?
There'll be plenty. You'll see it.
Tell me one.
You'll get a few options.
Hamiso?
I won't have to say.
I was going to say Hammer.
No, I won't say it. But I don't think he'll be the fullback this year. No.
Kalen's out, and he's out indefinitely, so it's not
For the season?
Kalen Ponga.
Is he gone?
Well, they're not saying for the season, but today they released a statement saying they're still assessing.
And he's the highest paid player. Wow.
And I love Kalen Ponga. I wish I could see him play. Like I want to see him play Origin again. I don't want to see Ponga out. Like, all right, sure, he plays for the Knights, but when he plays, the guy is just so much excitement and entertainment. And honestly, I think Adam O'Brien at the Knights the Knights need to tell him, get out of here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's... Anyway. But, yeah, it's a good game. You lost. That's all right. 40-18.
Unfortunate game, but Broncos came out strong.
Last game was...
Yeah, I honestly on that game, I wasn't really. I didn't tip him either.
Yeah.
I didn't actually expect them to be in the contest.
They were there for 70 minutes.
70 minutes.
Sloan is coming...
I actually saw a lot of positives. They weren't playing a weak opponent.
Yeah.
They were playing good opponent.
They were playing a good opponent, and they actually they were in it for 70 minutes, ahead of them for large swathes of it.
I actually thought they were going to win. Honestly, at about the 65th minute, because my wife is a Dragons supporter, unfortunately. Oh, wow. How did I end up with that? But we were watching the game, and the 65th minute, I thought, you know what, they're going to win. I genuinely thought the Dragons were going to win. Even though the Broncos came out strong in the second half, the Dragons were all over them. And then... Yeah, they just
look. It's not.
They poopied. They
look,
poopied
a loss like that isn't a bad thing. Obviously, you know,
it is a bad thing though.
It's not a bad thing.
It is.
If you walk off, you know, okay, that last 10,
they scored 40.
Ridiculous. It's worse if you win and still think, especially against a weak opponent, and you've let something like that. It's a lot worse.
That's why I'm so worried about the Warriors, because I think if the Doggies aren't careful, the Warriors will lead the Warriors 70 minutes and then lose.
What that tells you, the Dragons know where they stand at. And they got a lot of work to do, because if Brisbane's going to be a top 8 side and you can't basically put them away or even finish close, then that tells you you're sitting outside the 8. So they got a lot of work to do. They actually
early days for everything.
I think it is early
Very
days,
early.
but you know, 40-18. Next game, Canberra v Cronulla. Canberra got the biscuits over Cronulla in that instance.
I went Canberra last week. I think my co-host went. I think he went Cronulla last week.
I don't remember who I tipped.
Yeah, I went Canberra. Just Canberra, because they'll lose you games that they should win, and then when it's time to win, they will win. Against strong opponents as well, when they're least expected. If their histories to tell you about it, and it fell into place. Again, Cronulla let this one fall away from them. They
2 weeks in a row, I think.
Yeah, they've let it slip. They should have got the biscuits.
They should have got.
I'm not sure because they did have a sin bin, and Canberra was able to take advantage of that. But I don't know. For me, it was a bit of a scrappy game. I didn't really feel like all the other games had a lot of excitement about them. This one was a little bit of a.
It was ugly to watch.
It was a little bit ugly to watch, but you know the Raiders. I mean, even though the Sharks have lost. I think it's okay. I'm not convinced the Raiders will do anything this year.
They haven't been a good side to watch. They've actually been just an annoying team to
Raiders?
watch.
Yeah, very annoying. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch Raiders, but Sharks should have came with the W there.
All right, so enough talking about that game because I don't want to get bored again. But I'm sorry, but
imagine Ricky Stewart's watching this podcast.
Sticky, if you're watching, bro, what's happening with your team?
Getting boring.
All right, so quick tips for the upcoming round.
Yep.
We've got Eels and Panthers. I reckon Panthers by comfortably.
Yeah.
I think Panthers comfortably.
I think Panthers as well. 13 plus.
I think
13 plus.
I hope they boo Ryan Madison out of the park.
I mean, look at their second rows. Cartwright and Madison playing his first game of the year. You got Dury on the bench who can't bend the line whatsoever.
I honestly don't think Dury will play because he injured his leg.
But he got cleared and he's playing.
Dury from Dogs.
Yeah, he signed with the Eels. He's on the bench.
Wiramu Greg, he's got big size on him. Can he really produce the minutes out there?
I think he still needs to warm into it a little bit.
He's a big boy. He's very strong physically.
They got Brendan Hands debuting.
They got McIntyre playing, so he's very physical.
But Eels fans have been calling for Brendan Hands to debut for a while now, so hopefully...
What's his position of note?
I think he's a forward. Or a second row.
Second row forward, I heard, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how we go, but I think that this is...
I think Penrith's going to blow him off the park.
Yeah, it's definitely a Penrith game, for sure. Then we've got Storm and Tigers.
Oh, Storm for sure.
I don't see the Storm losing 3 in a row.
Yeah, I don't see
I know the Tigers will be hungry for a win.
But it's at Amy Park.
Jerome Hughes is playing, I believe. I know Munster's back.
Well, yeah,
they're all back this week.
Yeah, Munster's back.
Okay, so if Hughes is playing, I'm still going to back the Storm. It's in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Imagine the Tigers knock them over. But I'm going to go Storm I'm going to go Storm by 12. Not convincingly.
No, I'm going to go Storm by 13 plus.
I'm going to go by 12. Those last 2 rounds
Brendan?
just...
I want to
open-
go by Storm 13 plus. Yeah.
I just thought those last 2 rounds opened the can of worms. I mean, I don't even like the look of the Storm's bench.
Yeah, the bench is look. The bench is still. I think the bench is developing, and it's because they got Tarek Sims there now, who I think made a big difference when he came on against the Titans. So, and he's going to take some time. So, look, I think they'll be a lot better with Cameron Munster there. I just think he adds that X factor that I think maybe the Storm have lost.
Is Munster back this week?
Yeah, Munster's
Oh, yeah.
this
Because,
week.
I mean, if you look at the Melbourne starting forwards, I just want to throw a few names out there.
Yeah.
Tui Kamika. He's...
Kamika, yeah.
I don't think he's ever started before. Or he's hardly ever...
yes, yes.
No,
He's
I
hardly
think he
ever...
has,
He's
yeah.
not a normal starter.
No,
though.
he's not.
He's normally a bench player. You skip past Harry Grant. You skip past the experienced Christian Welsh, who is a rep player.
Yeah.
And then you got Trent Loera, is that you say?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got Elise Qatar, a lot of potential. And you got Josh King. And then you go to the bench, you got Wishart, McDonald, okay, Sims is experienced, and you got Garlic.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're short in the forwards or
I'm with you.
inexperienced.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But I think that having
I wouldn't be surprised if somehow the Tigers, as dreadful as they've been, because they made a few positional changes as well.
Yeah, which actually I was going to talk about. So they've got Adam Dewey playing at fullback. They've got Brandon Wakeham at 6 and Luke Brooks at 7.
Well, they got Wakeham starting.
They got Dan Laurie back on the bench. He's normally a starting
I
fullback.
don't understand why they have Dane Laurie on the bench. Look, I thought John Bateman played well.
It might be a masterstroke
Tigers.
because, look, back in the days, Tim Sheens would tinker and pull a rabbit out of the hat. Whether that's... I think his time might have passed. I think it's just beyond him. I don't know why Laurie's on the bench, but...
I mean, what confidence does it give you fullback when there's a backup fullback there? If he's going, because he hooked not Faluma and like the 50th,
He might have a plan. Maybe Wakeham might go into a utility role, and then Dwayne will go back into the halves, and
Yeah,
Laurie
I
will
know,
come
yeah.
on. I just
Do
got to
you
see
really-
how it's going to work
I don't
out.
know. Look, I think they played well for the last 15 minutes.
Melbourne by 12. So,
But I honestly don't think that they'll do the same to Melbourne that they tried to pull to the Dogs. I think, and it's going to be Melbourne. I don't think it's going to be 38 degrees. It's going to be like much better temperature. So, anyway, enough about the Tigers. Dolphins Broncos. I'm so G'd for this
What
game.
a game.
Bro,
Wow.
I want the Dolphins to smash them. I hope the Redcliffe Dolphins smash them.
I think Broncos will come with the winning this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got Brisbane. I think their forward pack will be too strong.
Yeah. With Kafusi out. of course,
Kafusi
Broncos,
out, yeah.
I think that's the big thing that Goals is out. But I will say it will be closer than people think. And Wayne Bennett is a master of getting his team up for the big games. There is some suggestion that Milford might play the game. Some suggestion because he's been training at 6 for the last week,
Oh, wow,
whereas he
yeah.
hasn't been doing that the previous weeks. I hope he doesn't. I hope that
Youngster, yeah.
Isaiah Katoa gets the chance to prove himself in the biggest game of his career. I do have the Broncos winning, but I don't have them winning by much. And if they lose, I'll be surprised.
I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I'm looking at both sides, and even the forward packs on both sides are quite stacked. Even though
Yeah.
Kafusi's
Strong.
missing.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Dolphins picked up some good players in Lamelu and Gilbert from the Cowboys. I mean, at best, they're rep players. And then you look at the interchange bench on both sides, stacked with
It's not a bad
stacked with
interchange.
talent
Not
on
a
both
bad
sides.
side. This is looking good.
I mean,
It's going to be a tight game, I think.
Jared Wallace, Mark Nichols, Ray Stone, and Mason Teague on the bench for the Dolphins is not a bad bench.
Not a bad. Wow.
Cowboys Titans. I want to say Cowboys by 6, but I'm not confident. I don't know what's going on with them. This could be their game to make a statement for 2024.
Yeah.
2023,
but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to make a bold one in this one. I'm going to go to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just
That's a big
don't.
one.
I mean, I think the Gold Coast got some points in them this week.
They
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I think they do.
I think that Jaden Campbell, if he turns it on, can score a few himself.
He's a freak.
I know he's coming off the bench.
But he's adding a spark.
I don't know. I just think the Cowboys have been uninspired. Just lacking creativity. It could be from their halves.
Yeah.
Did Chad Townsend overachieve last year? I'm starting.
I don't think they've overachieved.
He had
I
a
don't
few
think so.
ordinary years at Cronulla, so
I think Titans by 6
I think-
for me.
No, I'm saying.
yeah, I got the Gold
Cowboys
Coast. I got the Gold Coast by 8.
by 6.
So
Cowboys by 6. I think.
it could be a blowout. Who knows?
Yeah, I think they
But
might-
if you look at that
you don't know,
bench,
yeah.
Granville, Lukey, Tonoa Brown, Tarmow for the Cowboys. It's
That's-
like you got 2 retirees on there.
Yeah.
Tonoa Brown wouldn't probably be in your 17 out of a lot of clubs, or probably on the bench. He's not a bad player. It's
No,
just-
he's not.
I mean,
No, he's not.
and then Lukey, I don't know much about Lukey.
He's okay. He was injured all of last year, and he's come back this year. Look, I think it'll be a good game though. Good Queensland derby up there, but
Yeah.
I think Cowboys will want to come back from their loss. Rabbitohs Seagulls.
Wow.
I'm all in for the Rabbitohs for this one.
I think
boys.
Rabbitohs will want to do it for John Sattler. So
Absolutely.
I think
Which is also very sad that he passed away yesterday. He was legend of the game and
he was their premiership captain when they won, I think, 4 and 5 years. I think he captained Australia as well.
that's right, yeah.
He was tough as nails. Everyone knows the story about him playing with a broken jaw.
Yeah.
What a story. I remember that story I was told.
So,
Yeah, that's just crazy. You see photos and you just see his jaw just looks.
and he's still playing like the bloke doesn't.
Look. Wow, what is this?
I think Manly is gonna come on top in this one.
You got Manly, eh?
Yeah, I got Manly on this one.
No.
Yeah,
Souths are missing a few forwards again.
that's why.
They're missing their main up the middle, Totola.
Totola's gone.
Out again.
Yeah.
How's Totola out for?
I think another 4 weeks. Yeah.
I'm going to go Souths. I think they got Jacob Host back. I like the look of their back three in the forwards. Murray, Host, Kilomatangi. Burgess has had a good start the
He
year.
had a very good start to the season.
I think if Fafita, the other starter, Saluka Fafita has a good start to the game, they should get over the top of Manly.
Yeah.
I know Olakawatu's on the other side and Paseka. And Paseka's a gun forward.
Yeah, Paseka's a crazy forward.
He's a gun forward. I mean, the opponent's a very strong forward pack as well. So,
yeah, I got Rabbitohs by 6. Divo?
geez, it's a tough one. You know,
Yeah.
I want to go Rabbitohs. I'm going to go Rabbitohs by 12. I know you've gone Manly, haven't you?
Yeah, I got
That's
Manly,
good.
yeah.
That's a good shout,
I
actually.
think Manly, yeah.
I think mainly it'll be a very close one.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone's going to win convincingly, but yeah, I want to go Rabbitohs. Dogs and Warriors have spoken. I'm going Dogs by plenty.
Yep.
You guys are going Warriors.
Look, if the Dogs pull it off, a sentiment in the club will just go through the roof.
Look, if the Dogs play
The
80
next
minutes...
game, where's their next game after that? Do you know if they have a home game coming up after the Warriors?
No, we're versing the Cowboys.
We'll be up in
I think it's up in Dairy Farmers, yeah.
It's not Dairy Farmers anymore.
Not-
Sorry,
1-300 Smiles.
I don't think it's that either, but anyway.
Keeps getting changed.
that's a good one.
Wow.
I didn't remember
look,
the other names.
If they string a few games together and all of a sudden it's a home game, let's say, I think they play at obviously Accor Stadium,
Yeah.
is it? They expect themselves a 25 to 30,000 crowd.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Big
really,
crowd, yeah.
really, look, it'd be lovely if they can get all their games back at Belmore, if they can get that 100 million from the government. Because if you go to Belmore, on the hillside, there is swaths of parkland
Yeah,
behind that.
it's beautiful,
You can
man.
build a grandstand there, or, you know, and you can still build a parking station behind there.
And the thing is that the training facilities in that are world
And you got the
class.
train station nearby.
Yeah, and the train station. It's a good suburban stadium. It needs to go to about.
Just need traffic control on game day, and you
it
sort
needs about 25,000. Like it
more
needs to go to
parkings.
about 25,000. If you can
or,
honestly, if
or
you can
22 and a half, get it there first.
if you can get it to 25,000, I reckon you'll have sold out crowds most weeks.
They got their current grandstand there. It fits a lot. It holds well. I think that was one of the old SCG grandstands
they
from the
moved it up.
1930s
Yeah, I
or
think it
something.
was, yeah.
But it's just nice and flat, and it you can set a lot of people in there.
So quickly, we got Knights in Canberra. Your
Oh god!
quick tip. This is going to be a dreadful game. I'm
boring game.
I'm actually going Knights. Believe it or not.
And this game's in Newcastle, is it?
McDonald Jones Stadium. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Look,
on Newcastle.
I think Canberra's going to add to the misery of Newcastle. So I'm going to go Canberra by 14. I know it's a big scoreline. There's, honestly, I know we had a few blowout scorelines towards the end, but a lot of the games this year have actually been close.
I love it. It's been excellent.
I know we had a few
Yeah, I
blowout,
agree, yeah.
flattering scorelines, which
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have been like that.
Yeah.
But even now, I feel like
Well, like the Dragons losing 40-18.
that could be one of them. No, that's fair enough. Even look, the only game has there only been once? Has there been a one-sided game this year? Like from the start
Yeah,
to finish?
Manly v Dogs.
Is that the only game
I
we've
think
had
it's
this
the
year?
only one
I just
sided.
that game was
And then
wild.
you know what? The following week, the last 2 weeks, the Dogs have bounced back and got 2 wins together.
Yeah.
Like even
Yeah.
now, this Newcastle game, even when Newcastle lost 36-20, that scoreline was flattering.
Yeah.
it was a close
Newcastle
game.
actually played very well, and I actually think they'll do very well against the Raiders. I tipped them to win by 6. I'm telling you
Even
that.
now, me saying Canberra are going to add to the misery by 14, I feel bad. Like I don't feel bad. I just feel like,
Am I right? Am I wrong?
Am I going too far? Like it feels like it'd still be a close game, but I just made that
I
bold
think
claim.
Raiders will win this one.
I got them by 14.
Dragons Sharks.
Jeez, I'll let you guys answer this one first because I look at Cronulla's 1-17 and they got their halfback back.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm tipping the Dragons on this one.
But I'll look at Cronulla's 1-17 and even the ones that have missed out in the 17, and I think, like, where's the weakness here?
Yeah.
You know, they even retained Trindu in the 17.
Yeah, they got him there.
Just in case. I know he's carrying a niggling injury, but they've retained him just in case one of their halves go down.
Smaller.
And then you look at some of the names that have missed out from Cronulla. You got like Jack Williams, you got Beryl, who's good, and Connor Tracy. Connor Tracy.
I can't believe,
he's a gun player, but I just look at the 1-7, and then I look at the Dragons and I think, yeah, but your last 10 last week was just disastrous. You're a good bunch, but
I actually think
it's at Cogra, by the way. I think that'll be a sellout.
I think Dragons will take
I'm calling Drake. I'm gonna say Sharks by 6 only because
close
Nico
game.
Hines is there. But honestly, if Nico wasn't there, I'd say Dragons.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be really close.
You look at Cronulla's forwards, and they got the names are like Rudolph and Hamanueli, and then they got obviously Royce Hunt on the bench. And it's just strong, and Nikora and Wilton's had a good season so far. Even the back end of last year, Finucane, we all know about Finucane. And you look at their bench is strong as well. They got former Dragons captain Cameron McInnes is sitting there as well. Tough. And then you look at the Cronulla's back 7. They got some silky smooth players in there. Will Kennedy. You got the destroyers in the centres.
I think Will Kennedy has his flaws though.
He's come a long way.
He has.
He was my fullback. I remember at SG War.
Yeah.
He's come a long way. He was on the bench. He wasn't even starting. Wow.
Probably. But you got Talakai and Ramian in the centres. They're both destroyers. Absolute destroyers.
I think if you target Talakai, I think he has enough in him to be like put under pressure and make a lot of mistakes.
Look, in defence he might make some, but in attack they're like two extra battering rams. Yeah, Ramian's so strong, and Talakai's just a wrecking ball when he gets rolling. I'm gonna go Cronulla. I'm gonna go Cronulla by 10.
Don't tip against your team, bro.
I'm gonna go Cronulla by 10. That's all I'm saying.
Oh wow.
I went against the Dragons against the Brisbane. Yeah. I almost got the scoreline right. Yeah. I didn't expect them to play that well, but
what was the scoreline again? 40-18?
Yeah, 48. I went about 14. I went 13 plus. Yeah. So I didn't think they'd play too badly. They didn't, but yeah.
I think Dragons by a try for
You're going the Dragons?
I'm going Dragons as well.
Oh, geez, both of them.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I'm going Sharks. What am I saying? I never took Dragons. Dragons are going to sack themselves. No. I think that's the last game of the round.
I just want to bring up one thing you've discussed with both of you. Yeah. It's to do with the HIA. I know they've now made it mandatory for 11 days. Yeah. I just want to ask, do you guys think more head clashes or concussions are starting to happen because they outlawed the shoulder charge? Like, what's your takes on that? What do you think?
Well, I actually agree on what's happening at the moment, what NRL are doing.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying, do you reckon the shoulder charge being banned is the reason of seeing an increase or a spike in head clashes? Because, you know, you playing the game, it just feels like head clashes are getting more and more every year because the bodies are bigger. Because I'm sure you use your shoulder to great effect. We all did. Playing junior footy as well against the bigger man. You could put just ram into him. That's
a great question. I actually haven't looked at it that way, but...
I'll tell you, I'll give you a key example. James Seguiaro, I'm trying to remember who the forward was. Seguiaro was playing for the Cowboys, I think, at the time. Somebody's charging into line. Seguiaro launches from the ground with his shoulder, hits him, nails him, legitimately over here, and sends him, flattens him to the ground. Legit tackle, nothing high. But now Seguiaro can't use his shoulder. So where's he going to go? It's either going to be high, he'd probably get, bounced off, or he'll go alone, the hip will hit or the knee, or he'll try to go in for a side tackle and his teammate will come from the other side, and it'll be a lot of times we're seeing friendly fire, heads clashing and they're going down. Yeah. So is the shoulder charge, it's another discussion we can bring further and pose it to our fans or whoever tunes into the podcast. Is the shoulder charge being banned a possible cause or the main reason of spike in the in concussions?
Look. Let me tell you something. I think that people are starting to get too technical, and they're trying to get too deep into the little technicalities of the game.
In what sense?
In regards to is this doing that or is that doing this? Firstly, what I'm trying to say is that this is a contact sport, and these things are going to happen. Do I think that the lack of a shoulder charge is causing head knocks? No. Do I think that them getting rid of the shoulder charge was the right thing? Yes. Do I hate it? Yes. But ultimately, shoulder charges cause more damage right, than most other types of tackles head on, right?
We've seen a spike in not just a small, a huge spike.
No.
Hamili's gone for the season.
We
for
think
Who?
Who's
gone?
Sevilla Havili.
the one from Rabbits.
I heard he was
gone.
very bad. You're
Yeah,
right.
he's gone. He won't be playing this year.
And the thing is, like, if you look at when
He might just retire. He's not young.
Yeah,
anymore.
might as well.
I
Yeah.
hope he doesn't. He's such a good
player.
player, man.
He's had, a
humble.
good, he's had a, what, 10 years in first grade? He's had a good
Nah,
stint.
he hasn't.
Nah, probably like
What,
three,
five,
three or
maybe?
five. Yeah.
Silva Helvili.
Yeah.
I think he was at the Dragons in 2014.
He was.
Maybe
He
that's
was.
when
He started there. Yeah.
And now he started somewhere else. He was at the Warriors before that.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I think he's had a good decade plus in the game. So,
I mean, it would still be a shame to see because I still think
bloody
he had a
oath.
lot to offer.
How much spark did he offer for Canberra as well? Remember when they made the
Oh
grand
yeah,
final?
I was like,
What a game.
At one stage, you were thinking, should he be starting ahead of Hodgson at one stage?
Yeah,
Who
well-
was that impact?
Yeah.
And they started playing him as a small forward as well.
And
They
he was
did
actually
start
having a
playing
lot of
there.
impact for the
Souths,
Rabbitohs, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, look, I think as much as I hate not having the shoulder charge in the game, I do think it's the right move. I love the move that that they've made now. That 11-day automatic stand down if you get a Category 1 concussion. I think the players needed it, and it protects our players. I'd rather my guy be out for 2 weeks than have to retire.
Is the NRL the first professional sport in the world to do sit-outs, or was the NFL already?
No, the NFL's already done
NFL
that.
does it.
They've been doing that for a while now.
Okay, so NRL finally caught on.
I think they're finally catching up to the Australian standard. I think AFL's got that as well.
Yeah.
Boxing, like if you're, I think it's boxing.
Can't fight for, I think, 3 or 6 months.
Yeah,
If you get KO'd or TKO.
it's 6. I think you'll
And he's still got to pass, I think, a neuro...
cognitive test.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, like, I think it's perfect. And to be honest, I do expect in the next year or so that'll probably become 20. I think it was 24 days or 26 days. Some sports are
From one concussion or after 2?
no. If it's a Category 1 concussion,
Yep.
right? It could be 11 instead of 11 days. It's 26.
Are they going to increase it?
Yeah, I think it might increase.
Well, not long ago, I don't know much people, but I was knocked out not long ago. I was in hospital. They gave me 3 weeks. Yeah, I was knocked out cold. I was in 2 minutes on the ground. This was Rod Massey we were playing.
Wow.
Knocked on the ground. I didn't I didn't remember anything until about 10
Not
p.m.
the old Denko rub on the nose and you
Yeah,
get up and run up and you're all right 15 seconds later.
So
you wobble
got
around a
heavily
bit.
concussed?
Yeah, heavily concussed, and they said so. New South Wales Rugby League was running it, and they said the NRL rules were 11 days, can't play, no training, and then they said 3 weeks, no work, like physical actual work. Yeah, so that's the rules that they presented to me, and they gave me a slip, and they said yeah. So we went forward with that. I think it's a great thing because I couldn't remember a thing. I was knocked out cold. Ran straight, clashed the head. I was knocked out. The kid's head was all bleeding down.
Oh, that was the opponent. was
Yeah,
it?
opponent.
Jeez.
This was against Glebe Massey's side, and his face was gone. Like he
Couldn't
needed
blood.
10 stitches, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
So he'll miss as well.
yeah, and I had stitches inside my mouth. It was that bad. Yeah. So NRL presenting this rule, good on them.
Yeah, and the other thing they were saying is that they want to
It's gotten worse and worse.
reduce the amount of contact sessions that you do at training as well, because that's also people are getting a lot of concussions during training. So I think
you brought this up.
I just used to put my shoulders in late hits at training, and then my teammates would
not
just...
surprising for a Dragons supporter.
Hey, a lot of them were Dragons juniors, so I just, the small man taking out the big man. That's what it was. Oh,
But yeah,
cheap shots.
I think this concussion rule for the sake of the players, I think it's great.
Yeah.
But I also think that what the NRL needs to do is now start thinking about increasing the size of the teams, the extended team from 30 to 35.
Yeah.
Right, and then have a look at even the HIA rules of bring the 18th man and stuff like that. Maybe tinker with that a little bit, like HIA interseries. Oh, look, it's still a work in progress, but I do like the where it's going.
Yep.
I think it should have been done earlier. Like last year, they should have done the 11-week. But I think it will get longer. It may be a minimum of 2 weeks, like 14-day sit out, or because I forgot who I was listening to. They were saying that the neurologists say should be 23 days, not 11.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
That's going to be the norm, 23.
Well, no,
That's like 3 days.
no, they haven't said that it is, but they're saying that it should. That the neuroscience is saying that that's where it should get to.
Okay, you know what I think will happen after that? So let's say they do implement the 23-day recommendation. you're going to start seeing NRL squads then increase from 30 to 35, maybe 40.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
you need an extensive roster. I think the NFL's got, what, 53 line? 53?
Yeah,
They
53.
literally got 3 or 4 players for every position.
Yeah, that's
so you
right.
got your reserve backup, for example, quarterback. And then you got your third string quarterback. And then I think you get your, like, fourth string. And I think but he's, like, on the special
teams. Yeah.
Oh, and they have the team off season, or they have the team training list, so they're just still trying hard week in, week out, and they probably get signed up for 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah,
to try to crack the 53, or just maybe offset the third string quarterback. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah,
As the same thing with the
yeah.
linebackers and the linesmen and all that. So I think we're going to see a shift towards that as well with the NRL in that sense.
And I think it makes sense. But you know, like I keep thinking about Kellen Ponga and thinking if he's lost to the game, I'll be really upset.
Yeah.
The guy's young. He's got all the talent in the world. Like when he plays for Queensland, he's incredible. So I think all the moves that the NRL can make to help protect the players, I'm all for it, man. Definitely all for
How
it.
many concussions does that cost this year? How many has he copped? 3 already?
No, he copped the one.
Or has he
But
copped 2?
last year he copped 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The max is 6.
And then you have to retire?
You have to retire, yeah.
He what? Sorry.
Yeah. I think the max is 6 concussions. You got to retire.
Oh, in a season?
No, like
Ever.
in the NRL.
They reckon 6 and you got to retire.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not confirmed, but I heard something along that line. You got to retire. Yeah.
I'll confirm that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Please confirm that. Yeah.
That's why they're so scared about him now, because it's getting consistent with Kalen.
I remember a game Andrew Johns gets knocked out cold. He gets up, he staggers, falls on the ground, gets up. I think it was against Brisbane. Gets up, falls on the ground again. And I think they end up toweling up the Broncos by like 30 or 40 points that day.
Yeah, but I mean, look
They
at
brought
Andrew
him.
Jo-
But
look
if
at
they're,
Andrew Jones
obviously his
now.
brains are scrambled. Oh, I shouldn't say it, but yeah. Some of those players their brains are scrambled at the moment.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I think we're just about sort of done to wrap up. Any final words for the last 3 rounds? I think it's been a great season so far. It's just unbelievable so far, and I really hope the quality stays.
So, after all that talk, who's actually got the bye?
Roosters.
Jeez, there's so much footy here. We completely forgot about the Roosters.
And then the Eels versus the Roosters after their bye.
Yeah, that was brought up. Roosters. I mean, Eels playing everyone off the bye. It should have worked in their favour. It worked against them.
But look, I'll tell you.
0-5 Eels.
I reckon the Eels
0-5.
should be 0-5.
0-5.
So much hype getting told by everyone. Dolphins are doing good. Broncos are doing good. I'm telling everyone it's early days.
I just want
really early days.
one more thing to
I
bring
really
up.
do believe, yeah.
One more thing to bring up before we sign off. You got any origin bolters for either New South Wales or Queensland?
Yeah, Jermaine Hopgood for New South Wales.
Wow. That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Jermaine Hopgood for New South Wales.
I agree on that one. Jermaine, yeah,
Yourself?
wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, Fittler just has his moments.
Jermaine Hopgood. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Katoa, he's a New South Welshman.
Which Katoa?
Is it Isaiah Katoa, the Dolphins?
Yeah.
He's a New South Welshman, is he? I was about to say, because Queensland, they're ballsy, or they're always back. For example, they're Aboriginal players, because there's this stigma with New South Wales, or it's not even a stigma. New South Wales don't chance their arm on, for example, Aboriginal players.
Yeah.
A lot of times he got snubbed, and it might be a controversial topic, but it was there laid out to be able to see that. Whereas Queensland would chance their arm, pick the Aboriginals, and pick any player that was young and showed some talent. I know we talked about Reece Walsh earlier. Yeah. Let's not forget, I think 2 years ago, he actually got chosen in the Queensland team.
That's right, he did.
And he had to pull out, I think he had a hamstring problem.
Yeah.
Katoa, I guarantee if he's a Queenslander, he'd probably come into calculations.
But the thing is, you look at our New South Wales team, right? And like the question is, does Loy even keep his 6th spot? Do you put Burden there?
I think Burton will go into centre again.
No, but if you got Latrell and Turbo, why would you have Burden there?
I mean, does Burton even then make the 17?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think it makes the 20, but not the 17.
Yeah.
Or does he have a bench role? Because Burton can back in the halves and he can also back in the back line.
No, I think we have too much strong.
Burton's a massive 5'8".
He's
so tall.
Seeing him run off that pass from Marnie,
I think the guy's at his ankles.
you see just how big and how lanky. Like if the doggies can take advantage of that, then he'll kill it. But yeah, anyway, I think Jermaine Hopgood is my bolter for the Blues.
You won't back Keros? Or do you think To'o and Adokar are ahead of him?
I actually don't even think Adokar will get chosen. I reckon they'll have Sualiti there.
I thought geez. Then you think the centres and Swiley, he's up against.
Turbo, like you'd have Turbo and Trell there any day.
Anyway, early stages.
Yeah.
HIA and injuries always play their part.
Boys, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you, Brandon, for joining us. Hope to see you on the podcast more.
Thank you for having me.
So lovely to have you, Dibbo.
Always pleasure. Post your comments at home, fans. Anything you want to see or anything you want us to discuss in the next podcast. And also tell us what you think of, I don't know if you can see it, in the corner we got some 80s great players, specials. You got Warren Ryan there for any Doggies fans and Steve Mortimer, Turvey.
Tina Turner there, simply the best. Oh, mate. So, just quickly, we're aiming to hit, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you watch this video, if you like any part of it, or even if you hated it, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, give us some feedback, and we'll try and work on that. We're still a young podcast growing, but I want to thank everybody that's subscribed to us so far and that listens to us, and I look forward to us going through the season with you guys. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the coming week of Rugby League. Have a good one.
Thank you.